Hey, Jake.
Hi, Nicole. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
How exciting about your house offer.
Yeah,
Fingers crossed.
I'm very excited. I hope we get it.
Hey, hi, Anna.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Anna.
I was going to ask if Jackie was in a different meeting, but then her calendar, she has a workout blocked before this call. So maybe she's coming from outside.
Yeah, I think she sent us a Slack message. She's going to be running late.
Mm. Oh, yes, I see now.
Yeah.
Okay, then I can start. Let me see. We have the document here. Right. Did folks have a chance to go over the environments dashboard redesign, and are you up to date with the intention of this epic? Or do you want me to?
I went through the epic. Do we have like one cohesive area where there's like a proposed redesign?
Yeah, we do not have that.
Okay.
What we have, like this epic is the container for pretty much things that we need to do from scratch.
Okay.
We do have one link here as well. Two other epics for environments dashboard that cover bugs and what is Jackie calling that? General improvement. Bugs to fix any features. Let me add this here. Environments, improve environments. Sorry, folks, I just came home. So my brain is still a little bit everywhere. Yeah. So I don't know if Jackie already prioritized this list of improvements that you see in the redesign and features enhancements. And since you say that it's not about the why, but how to implement these improvements, I think would be maybe a good approach to just go over the list and see like what the themes and, that we can identify and maybe, yeah, just discuss over.
Okay. Sounds good to me. I'm also going to add just an additional. There was a question about low-hanging fruits. I'm just adding an additional issue that I think would be simple, and then I can go over why I think that would be simple. So that's the first issue in the epic. So we want to discuss a how for this. I think that we can just provide some sort of notification right on the modal when deleting a project. I think that this one is pretty straightforward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think with some of these issues, I think they're labeled UX debt, and if don't have a layout, I must have like some prototypes of how the UI should look like.
Yeah.
But with these, with the model in particular, I just wanted to raise attention that the requirements dashboard was a copy of the sorry, so many dashboards of the operations dashboard. And now they completely change how to add projects. It's not a model anymore, it's inline. So line form, which I don't love it. If you look at it, click on operations, and then there's an option to add project. Oh, they probably haven't shipped yet, but I know there are prototypes. There's an issue.
I think, yeah, I think it's actually on master, so it might just not be, because I was looking at a clean slate of the environment dashboard this morning, and I recall seeing that that button was just in line.
Now you can see on in the security dashboard. It's pretty odd. I mean, it's the same experience from the model inline, so we need to consider.
Just loading up the security dashboard here. Okay, yeah, yep. I see what you're saying now. Yeah, that's different. So the environments dashboard change that you mentioned, I don't think that's on master yet, because this looks different than what I saw in the environments dashboard, but it looks essentially the same. It's just not in a modal. Okay.
Is this something that we can like not immediate, but we can easily reuse from the operations dashboard, or do you really have to like kind of customize this experience for the environments dashboard?
That is a really good question, and I'll give myself like a 30-second look into the code base to see if it's obvious. It might not be immediately obvious. I might not have the answer right away. It shouldn't be that bad. Looking at the security dashboard and looking at the environments dashboard, they're both in view, so it shouldn't be too much of a rewrite of anything to get the environments dashboard working like the security dashboard. The only thing that looks immediately different to me is that the security dashboard is using GraphQL, and I don't think our environments dashboard is. I think it's still using our REST API. I don't know how much of an issue that would be though, because that's just data fetching. So the presentation layer of the dashboard should be, we should be able to reuse a bunch of components, and the source of the data shouldn't matter that much.
I think this first issue that you mentioned, this one here, with the notification indicate the users that removing project affects all others, and maybe regardless which if we can reuse the things or not. Maybe I think also Jack would be interested in a low-hanging fruit there, like what you were saying in the beginning, just add the information on our end the way it is, and then maybe look at, I don't know, reusing components later on, you know.
Yeah, I agree with that. We can even just have like a reusable component for letting the user know that adding this project in this dashboard will add it to other dashboards, and we can just stick that same component on every single dashboard.
Yeah.
This
also,
way it's, yeah.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, this way it's a consistent experience and a consistent message across all the dashboards.
And I'm also working on, let me share this. I think I shared this in Slack already. I'm gonna add here to the doc. So this is a Figma prototype of the CIC dashboard. And when I look at all the dashboards that we have across GitLab, it's difficult to find the source of truth for the user experience. So there are some dashboards that they have a complete different looking feel. That's or I don't know, you add items in a different way. I don't know, it's just very different visually and also the interaction. And looking at the Figma prototype for the CIC dashboard, I think my gut feeling is that we should spend time maybe later on trying to standardize the UX, because I don't think that this environment dashboard is scalable the way it is.
Yeah.
Also UI.
I think it's a good point. And one other thing about the environments dashboard is that we're adding pagination in 13.3. So in the next milestone. So that's going to be, I think, an even further deviation from the CICD dashboard.
Mhm.
So can I ask a question? With the Epic, what is our goal, our end goal? Because I see all of the linked issues with some mostly minor, it sounds like, adjustments in functionality, with the exception of maybe displaying some group level stuff. But to your point, I don't see any like designs or end goal, which I think is what Jake brought up originally. So I feel like to discuss the how is a little hard because we're just kind of seeing these little incremental improvements. Does that make sense? I'd love to see where we're trying to get to, and then we can have, I think it would really fuel the discussion on how we can get there more incrementally versus just a few of these little fixes. Because what I don't want to happen is we go through and make all these incremental fixes and then we come in with a design and have to go back and rework all of this, right? So
yeah, and especially that these are feature enhancements. So my expectations that the ones that Jake just mentioned, they are labeled UX Apt, but which means, yeah, there is already a standard there for you to just go and do a fix. But for example, support grouped environments in the environment dashboard, this is really a redesign. And I think this needs to go through the workflow design phase. And then we look, like what you're saying, at it more holistically and perhaps even break it down into all these fixes that are listed here. But I also find it very interesting because there are some low-hanging fruits. There are some things that we can just discuss now. For example, let's not just reuse them. Let's use the mode that we have now and implement or reuse a component later. And where's Jackie? We need Jackie.
So do we want to use this meeting to fuel the design ideas for some of these, like the environment? So like the second issue in the Epic is the environments dashboard improve the ad project modal. For that, I think that we can pre-populate that the way we kind of pre-populate the milestone selector with milestones, so the user doesn't have to think about what milestone is in their head. So I think we can probably pick a few of these and bounce some ideas to fuel a design concept potentially, and then revisit.
Yeah, I think that would be super cool. Especially that these are like fixes to existing. I think those are all, yes, those are all existing issues or yeah, enhancements to the feature. But we also have, for example, there's an issue that Jackie logged to show a heat map in the environments dashboard, right? So that's adds more complexity, like what Jake was saying. There's no way to easily paginate, and the more complexity we add to this thing, the bigger monster it will get. And additionally, Jackie and I had a chat. I think we discussed this in a think big a couple of times or mentioned to, instead of just iterate on the environments dashboard, improve the connection between the environments list view that we have in the, I think, CICD environments, operations environments, with the environments dashboard. So in a way, merge them to create this unified user experience where, yeah, users will be able to see everything related to their environments and deployments, but then managers and people that need this analytics view, they would also get that in a single place. So I love the idea of, fuel the design ideas so that we can see what are the low-hanging fruits, looking at what she already put here, right? For the, what do you call it? This feature enhancements. Let's see that. I don't have prototypes, that's a problem. So I'm looking for my latest prototypes for the operations dashboard. Maybe we can use that to critique and then just go into, okay. Let me.
Additionally, this is the most descriptive Figma I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
There's This is like the most descriptive Figma file I've ever seen before. I've never seen like sticky notes in Figma.
I'm actually trying to use that for my UX showcase. I think in 2 weeks I have to present, and I don't want to create slides. So I'm trying to put all the context in one single view, because slides are to 1998, yes. All right. Okay, let me do this. I'm going to create a Figma project and then add some information about the environments dashboard. What is it? This one? Yes. Okay. And let me share with you. Can edit, copy link. The way I'm thinking is that I'm adding here this link. Taking a prototype. A prototype, but it's something. I'll quickly share my screen, maybe to just give people that are going to watch this in context. Yeah, so maybe I'm thinking for us to maybe ideate on the prototype and also look at what Jackie added there. For example, we know that pagination is coming and how that would impact or how that would look like, notifications, etc. I know that it's not ideal. I'm not prepared for that. But maybe we can play around. I think, do you have access to this, and can you, I don't know, add notes and add things to this file? Because I see anonymous here.
Yeah, I am in the file. I will see if I can actually edit anything. I think I might have to log in first.
You can add like comments or notes. But I'm not sure if you have the same view.
So I know, so we don't have, like you mentioned, a prototype to look at, but we're trying to get this dashboard to look more in line with this, the Figma that you shared, prototype that you shared earlier for CICD. Is that a good summary, or?
That's not necessarily.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because I know that from Jackie that we want to make some fixes and improvements to what the environments dashboard offers now, like to this experience. And the CIC dashboard is something different. It's really at the one that's going to live at the group level, and it's going to show metrics related to your release and everything else. And that will connect you to the environments dashboard. So when you see there the last 5 deployments, you click, you go to this page, for example. And I think the problem of the inconsistent user experience is something that we can solve in the future. But looking at this this prototype, and also, am I in the right issue? Yeah. So indicate to users that removing any project affects all others. So for example, the modal change, right? We can implement without really doing any redesign. It to me sounds like a feature enhancement, but also doesn't put us any closer from the other dashboards. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess that's what I was trying to reconcile in my head, and maybe Jackie can add some clarity there. Is that I'm trying to see the difference between the environments dashboard redesign and just implementing some UX debt type issues, right? Because that sounds more like what we have so far, and that's fine if that's where we want to start. If we're talking about completely redesigning it, though, which is what the epic implies, then I would expect to have a little bit more discussion around, you know, the end vision.
Yeah.
So
I don't think that with this epic, it's really about redesigning. And I think maybe that's the name. It's not the best choice. It's for features enhancements and bug enhancements.
Okay.
Not okay. The whole experience. Yeah.
That helps with the the context. Thank you.
We can probably just remove redesign from the Epic title, maybe to make it more clear.
Feature enhancements, I think would
Yeah.
fair enough. We make one decision. Okay, I'm updating this. Okay, done. Since she asked us to talk on how to implement these improvements, I think maybe we should go back to the direction of how to make those small fixes that might need some UI or UX polishing or fix or whatever. But then we focus on the bigger picture later on.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's helpful.
This call wouldn't be enough for that. Okay, cool.
So for the for the modal enhancements, so you pointed to some other modals that we would kind of use as a guideline there. So that's really helpful. Jake, looking at this list, where do you feel like you would need the most input from Hayana? That might be a good place to start fleshing things out. For example, indicating to users, removing, adding a project from dashboard view affects all others. Is that something we'd need the most input? Because that might be a good place to start brainstorming.
I think that that's workable without a ton of input.
Okay.
I definitely love to have some more direction on exactly what sort of notification to use or what sort of UI text to use. But other than that, I don't think it would require a ton of input. One thing for sure that I am would love to discuss further in terms of design is add custom version to environments dashboard. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 items down. That one I would definitely love to discuss in further detail.
Let me see. Yeah, I also need this one. When I see the description, I'm like, okay, we need some UX conversation around the solution, because it always seems easy when you just put a screenshot for a different product, but our context is different. Okay. That's good to know. And I think, Jake, when I also look at the list, to me, this support grouped environments in the environments dashboard, I think is the 4th item. I'm gonna add here in the description, the text.
Yeah, that's a good one as well. Oh, I think there's a mock somewhere. Yeah, I remember this issue now. I think Jason Goodman produced a mock.
Yeah.
And I also had some questions about it a few weeks ago, although I don't know where the link to that. Oh, here it is. It's right in the description. Yes, I remember my questions about this now. So one of the questions were the pipeline that's visible right at the very top of the card. Is that indicative of the latest pipeline for an environment that starts with that name? Because this is talking about grouped environments. So for example, there's the development group and there's 346 environments in the development group. Does that pipeline represent the latest pipeline of a job run in one of the sub environments of develop?
Yeah, that was in the initial description. But I have to say that when we worked on this thing, I think over a year ago, we didn't really dive into this, the technicalities and the details. It was just like the decision is to like just show the latest pipeline that run from this group, and then link to the latest deployment from that pipeline. And then in the UI, I think in this prototype, you can see that, yeah, I'm gonna share my screen and then I'll just point that out. In the prototype, it shows that you have the development here in 346, right? So it means that there are other 346 pipelines in development, but it shows the latest one And then in the information icon would be, yeah, informing users of that. And when you click on View App, you see that here you don't see the View App button. It's because you have multiple how do you call it, deployments for that environment, or there probably a group environment card. But this one you only have one. What I remember, and then also looking at this UI, I don't think that's very intuitive, and I think that users will want to, yeah, see more details or go somewhere from this view. But yes, to answer your question, that's the link from 346.
If there's if development is like this top level environment group and there's sub environments under development, is there a way from this view to get to those sub environments? Is like clicking that card open up to additional environments? Okay.
The name, it should be a link. I'm not sure if it's implemented as a link right now. Yeah, it is. So if you click here, you probably go to this, the environment list.
Okay.
That's why you want to make a better connection between, because this could be just views that you switch, list view, card view, for the sake. That's why it's confusing now.
Okay, that makes a ton more sense now.
But this feature in general, and then it goes back to that issue on indicate to users that removing here also removes there, or error messages. I think we should add more guidance in the UI, and maybe I'll just need to open an issue for that as a follow-up, because there is so much connection with features that already exist in the product, but then you kind of need to click to find out what happens.
Yeah, we don't want the user to be guessing about what something does before you click it.
Yeah. What I can do also is to go over these issues and just update the source of truth so that we know the direction exactly to help with the defining the scope.
Okay, sounds good.
This one, we have one like investigate job to be done. I think this is more something for Jackie and I, differences between operations and environments dashboard, because now they are connected. And that's why you have the first issue that to indicate users that when you remove something from the environment dashboard, you also remove it from the operations dashboard. Yeah, maybe we can partner up on that one as well. But sounds like a research issue.
Yeah, they're also tied together in the back end as well. So it's not just like cosmetically on the front end. It's they're sharing information. Everything from the environments dashboard is like fed from all the operations components on the back end as well. So there's a lot of stuff tied together there.
Okay.
And yeah, not that that's like a huge issue, but just to provide like more context.
I just have no idea why this was built this way, like connected 100% in a way, right? Because you add, remove, if you maybe in the future if you had the ability to reorder, it will impact both views. It's
yeah, I don't know the context of why it was made that way.
Someone decided.
Okay.
And this one for add query recorder to specs for environments folder. This one here.
Yep.
Yeah.
I believe that this is just going to be, unless I'm mistaken, I think this is just for backend to create additional testing. I don't think that this is going to be a cosmetic change to the dashboard at all.
I'm gonna just ping Jackie to add Sean to the loop that he can look into it. And then write feature spec for environments dashboard.
Just to go back to this spec one real fast, I don't want to linger on it too much, but looking at just the proposal, it's already assuming that context of 20 environments for iterations. So there's yeah, we're definitely going to need someone from, probably Sean, someone who's going to have the context about pagination to do this, because when we start adding pagination to the dashboards, we're going to have to be changing our test to accommodate for that.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh God. I lost a key on my keyboard. So
Oh no.
it just I'm like trying to type.
I have a key. There's one of the keys on my keyboard doesn't belong to this keyboard. It fell off at some point, and one of my old coworkers like just gave me a key from his old keyboard, and so it's the same color but not the same shape, and it looks just slightly off.
When you touch it, it was like, what is this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to go up, but I don't know what happened. I just came home today and it was broken. Just a quick, you mentioned pagination, and I don't see in this. Are we already working on pagination for the environment dashboard?
It's going to be in 13.3. I'm not too sure why it's not on this list, and if it should be. Might just want to confirm with Jackie if she thinks it should be on this list. I feel like it should be because it's part of the dashboard. It's part of the environments and operations.
Yeah, I'm not in love with the idea of adding pagination to this card view specifically, because you still only be able to see 3 projects per environment, right? I think
3 environments per project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. 7 projects, so now you can have X.
Yeah.
Project, but you only see 3 environments per projects, right?
Yeah, that's the proposal as I understand it.
Pagination, environment, I found the email. Let's see. Expand support number of environments on environments dashboard. No.
No, I think I have the. Oh, yeah. I think that's it. Expand supported number of environments. That's it.
Odd. It should be. Well, in a way it is, right? Support pagination to expand the number of environments.
Yeah, we don't have pagination directly in the title, but I almost kind of feel like we should, just to make it very clear.
I'll change to, well, sometimes Jackie like the way that things are named, but by supporting pagination. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. It will be awesome. And I think I have an issue actually in my backlog to look at the environment dashboard redesign in general, but maybe we should schedule like a session to just ideate on top of this. Because I feel like I don't want to do just work on UI proposals or my understanding of it. I really need you to like help me with this. Yeah, just pointing out what is a cosmetic change and what it's not a cosmetic change, right? Mm-hmm. Since the things are probably still going to be connected to the operations dashboard.
Hi, Jackie.
Sorry, team. I feel like the worst PM ever. Feel free to award me that. How are you doing?
Headless chickens. We are just going over the list and seeing maybe what approach to take on these items, because
that's exactly what I wanted. And so perfect. Thank you for kind of owning this and taking it forward. Keep going with what you're saying. I was just excited that you were able to like take this meeting forward without an agenda from me. Thanks.
We also got to the discussion of an actual redesign of the environments dashboard, right? Because this epic lists feature enhancements and redesigns, and then Nicole was here. There was this question around, okay, is it a redesign of the dashboard? Are we just fixing features that could, just enhancing things? And I think the last thing I was saying to Jake was about scheduling some time or to look at this holistic improvement to the environments dashboard with him and together to get more context, because yeah, those small changes are still gonna leave a lot of improvements in the backlog.
Absolutely. We'll still have like a lot to improve, even if we fix some of these bugs. So do we feel like a redesign is more warranted than going through and fixing these bugs? How would you want to approach this?
I feel that yes and no. That there are a lot of things that we can achieve. For example, just making a beautification of this dashboard, or like, I don't know, letting fixing the UX that. But in the end, it's gonna be something that it's doesn't really belong to the dashboard family, to the GitLab family, right? And we are talking about pagination. And in my opinion, having pagination in that card view is just odd. And the way that the environments dashboard is displayed now, it doesn't really give a lot of flexibility to play around with it and add more functionalities on top of it. So I think it would be worth fixing some of this, the issues that we know how to fix, but then looking to the future.
Cool thought there. So what if we left the cards with the limit that we had, but then we added a list widget that was paginated of all of the environments? So it just lists out all of the environments that are in your groups and projects, like instant level list, I guess, is what we're going to be looking at.
And then what would the cards display?
Your selected projects and environments. We wouldn't touch the pagination of the cards if you feel like that's a weird experience. I mean, I have this issue out there right now talking about a heat map, a static heat map of the status of your environments. Because the problem that people are trying to solve when they go to that dashboard is, what's the status of my currently deployed code, right? So they're wanting to see the latest pipeline. They want to see if their environments are live, and then triage any issues from their environment status, right? So that's really inactionable today if they're running hundreds of thousands of environments, which is totally true for some of our customers.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes more in the direction of merging those views, right? The environment list, then having a dashboard kind of like experience where you can see, because now the environments view, it's really on a project level. But I think what you're suggesting, if I understand correctly, is having something similar like that, but on a group level. And then
it's just an aggregation. And maybe, go ahead.
Oh, when you say heat map, like specifically, what do you imagine it looking like?
Let me send you, I think Hyana just was quick with the draw there. Look at you, girl. She just chatted the issue out, but.
Okay. Thank you.
And I think we only have one more minute left. What I would love to do is have this be a recurring touch point with you, Jake.
Yep.
Do you feel okay about that? And how frequently do you feel like would be useful to connect? Like, do you think it would be every other week to give you time to look at stuff and action items? Or do you think weekly? Like, what sounds good?
I think right now weekly sounds good.
Okay.
If we start to feel that that's too frequent, we can move it out, or we can do the other way around for you too. If you feel bi-weekly is good at first, and if you feel we need it more frequently, but weekly works fine for me.
Okay. So I think the action items out of this meeting, we'll set it at weekly at first until we get our grasp on how we want to tackle this combination of UX debt and tech debt fixes of the environments dashboard with like flirting with this redesign concept. Once we figure out which direction we want to go, maybe we can make it longer and have more async tactical discussions. I think right now it's like we have a big, hairy problem in front of us that people aren't solved. So I think that's perfect. I think with this meeting, I would love your perspective, Jake, on the issues that we have in the epics.
Yep.
And kind of poke at some of the gaps that you're seeing, and if there's a lack of a why around why we're doing anything. Mm-hmm. And then we'll meet up next week and Hayan and I have our one-on-one this week. We'll talk a little bit about the CICD director dashboard and where that should live. Because right now we have this idea of combining all of it together. And that might be wrong after you kind of dig into some of the stuff that we currently have in the epics.
No, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that sounds like a good idea.
And just for context, Jack, in the beginning we talked about the changes that are listed in this epic for the environments dashboard, but because it's attached to the operation dashboards, the dashboard, and in that view, the experience already changed. So we quickly discussed, just implementing the change in the UI or in the interaction as is. And then once the operations dashboard is a bit more stable, we can reuse some components and think on these differences during a bigger redesign. This is related to the first, I think, 3-4 issues. So indicate users that removing something from environments dashboard impacts the operation dashboards, improve copy in the modal, and put an error message or error state there. Everything in a modal doesn't exist anymore in other dashboards. So,
Right. It doesn't exist in the security dashboard, for example, right? So, which
should we think about breaking the operations environment dashboard relationship? I don't really know why they're coupled together anyways.
they're coupled in the back end. So from the Ruby on Rails side of things, all the information about the environments comes from the operations controller on the server. So I think that might be why they're coupled together. But we can break that all apart on the front end. So from the user's point of view, it can be completely different.
Yeah, like the operator persona and the release manager persona are different, right? Okay, we're 2 minutes over time. Sorry, y'all. I'll go ahead and set this meeting to be recurring. Is this time slot good for y'all?
Yeah.
Okay, generally it's good for me. I just got pulled in last month, so thank you. I'll go ahead and send it. Bye, y'all.
Bye, everyone.